Welcome to Matosinhos. Now, it's connected to Porto by the metro, but is it its own city? I'm Josh.
And I'm Kalie. Welcome to Expats Everywhere, the channel about living abroad and the experiences that await you. Now let's go see what Matosinhos has to offer.
Matosinhos lies just northwest of the city of Porto and is along the Atlantic Ocean. It's actually connected by metro to Porto. For a long time, the city was viewed as a cheap option compared to living in Porto, but as it gains popularity, you can see that prices and population are rising as well.
You can see some historical buildings, forts, and the beautiful church of Matosinhos, which has a Baroque design, but the big draw to this area is the water. You also have the Porto City Park just south, so you can come and take in the nature. It's really easy to bring a picnic, or it's good for the stroller. You can ride your bike through here or just walk with friends.
The area is quite walkable with an array of grocery stores, shops, restaurants, cafes, and really anything you need by foot. You don't need a car here, but could have one if you want to get around on your own timetable.
Some people prefer a car for those nearby IKEA runs, but you can of course get public transportation or an Uber. Whether you're walking, driving, or taking public transportation, you'll know exactly where you are when you hit this iconic sculpture.
So for those of you who like to surf like me, Matosinhos is a great option because there's not too many rocks. And as you guys notice, there are quite a few surfers out here with different surf schools. So it's an awesome option.
Let's chat about the food. As you can imagine, there are some great restaurants near the water. And when you're close to the water and are known for your fishing, you of course will be eating seafood.
Now these restaurants have great fish, but can be pricey. You can try a variety of seafood and drop almost €100 a couple when it's all said and done. Now if you walk inland away from the water, you can still find some amazing fish at a much more affordable price. As we always say, find the menu of the day. You can find a good one for €6 to €10 per person. All right, so speaking of menu of the day, we're a couple blocks away from kind of the water side, and I went ahead and got salmon. Even though salmon's not necessarily the traditional fish here, I went ahead and got it because it's the menu of the day. I haven't had it in a while. Looking forward to it. Over here, we have a duck rice. Very traditional, not seafood, but we do have some non-seafood eaters here, so they're gonna split that.
Just like Porto, the winters will get rainy and cool, so be sure you take this into consideration when house hunting. The winter averages stay in the 40s and 50s.
Because Matosinhos is in the northern part of Portugal, it doesn't get too hot in the summers, and you of course get the nice beach breeze. The average summer temperatures will have cool mornings in the low 60s and then possibly get up into the low 80s when it's the hottest part of the day. But the temperature mostly hovers comfortably in the 70s.
Like we mentioned before, prices are on the rise in Matosinhos, which means the housing prices are going up. It can be difficult finding a place to rent, but expect to pay at least €700 for a T2, but €800 is probably more realistic. Want some prime real estate with a view of the ocean? That will definitely be more expensive. If you're okay with being a little further away from the water and some of the more popular areas, then you might be able to find something in that 700 range, but it's tough. However, a lot depends on your lifestyle and what you're looking for in a rental property, so just keep these numbers in your head as examples.
For buying, if you're okay with a studio or T1, then you can find some great turnkey deals from €100,000 to €120,000. These are in good locations and are new, but they are small. For a T2, €125,000 to €160,000 is a good range to keep in mind. So when you compare these prices to Porto, it's cheaper, but the area is becoming more popular. It never hurts to negotiate either.
Even though Matosinhos is close to Porto, it has its own vibe. It's a beach city and a very comfortable place to live for those who like the beach vibe, kind of like me, instead of more of the city, which I do like the city, but I like the beach as well, and those who maybe don't want the rural, which is definitely not for me.
Matosinhos actually has a really comprehensive website for those of you wanting to dive even deeper into life here.
With Matosinhos being so close to Porto, Josh and I have talked about whether or not we could live here. So let's go talk about that now.
All right, so we're sitting here in a cafe in Matosinhos. Let's talk about what we think of Matosinhos and whether or not we would live here. Kalie, what do you think?
Well, the bubbles flying around are from a kid who just walked by with a bubble gun. Pretty funny, but real life stuff. I really like Matosinhos. I think it's very livable. It's comfortable because it's got the beach. Nearby, well, there's actually a lot of green spaces for kids or for just sitting on a bench. The Porto City Park, the big one, is really close, so you can have a picnic there or something like that. Really, really nice. I think it's livable. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. Because it's so walkable, really you have everything here accessible by foot. So like we've said earlier, you don't really need a car. But the cool thing is you have parks. You have the city park that's technically in Porto that you can go to. You can also just cross over to the next neighborhood in Porto, which is Foz, and you can enjoy things there. So if things maybe get a little stale here, you can also pop into there by foot. You're connected by the metro to get into the city of Porto. Prices are a little lower. It's a bit windier here. I think weather-wise, climate-wise, it's about the same. I think it's super livable.
It's really nice. And you make a good point. You can actually walk from the beach in Matosinhos south, just walk along the water, you get all the way down to Foz, and then you end up hitting the Douro River into Porto. It's a beautiful walk. It's long, but it's a beautiful walk. So when the weather's nice, that's a good option as well. So it's in a good location. You do have a little cheaper prices. I mean, obviously, like we've been saying, practically everywhere in Portugal, prices are going up. But if you like the beach life with a little bit of city, not like downtown city feel, but there's a lot going on as far as city goes. So if you like beach feel, or beach vibe, as I like to say, and Josh makes fun of me for always saying the word vibe, but it's a good way to describe something. If you like that with a little bit of city, a little more livable, chiller than a city, this could be the place for you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, we have talked about what would it be like moving here and living in Matosinhos. So I'm gonna ask the question, I think I already know the answer, but Kalie, would you expat that?
Yes, I would. And of course you know the answer because we have talked about possibly doing a few months here, trying it out for maybe 6 months to see what it would be like, especially maybe through the winter because who knows how windy, you know, that cool wind it gets, how cold it is. And, you know, if you're by the beach at the winter time, does it really matter if it's cold? I don't know. But yes, I would 100% expat it. We might actually expat it at some point. And you?
Yeah, I would 100% expat that. I really enjoy this area, even though I'm not a beach person. I do like to surf, but I'm not a beach person.
And there's a lot of surf here.
There's a lot of surf. But yeah, I think it's an amazingly livable place, being able to walk to the grocery stores, different restaurants, taking the kiddo out. But if you guys want to hear about life in Matosinhos, we do have an interview from David. He's an expat. That video is right here, so you guys can learn about that. Or if you're interested in learning more about cities that you might want to expat here in Portugal, click on this playlist right here. We'll see you guys later. Let's get moving.
Bye.
Bye.